Hi, everyone. Thanks again for joining us for another episode of the Daily BizLink. Jane Cebrynski is back. And today I'm so excited about this specific topic because we're discussing how you can keep it cool through the holidays. Jane, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Lindsay. And we're going to be talking about how you can keep it cool in spite of the fact that we're not super cool in our climate in Arizona. But before we begin, give me your 10 moment.
My 10 moment was I took some time to set myself up for success, doing and checking off some of those projects that I've had on my list for I don't even know how long. Every morning I would wake up and look in my closet, and my closet was a mess. Like over time, I had shoes everywhere, and I had these outfits that I was like, why do I even have them in there? I haven't worn that shirt in over a year. So I took some time and I filled my closet with all 10s. So now I got rid of all that old stuff. Everything is perfectly organized. And so it just makes my mornings that much better when I wake up. So that was a winning strategy for me.
And also, it's not just about it's more orderly, which is huge, but then also you're walking in and you already know like everything in here, I love it. So no matter what I choose, I'm going to feel great. And that is what I'm so excited about. I love it. I love it. I love it. I've been doing the same thing. I think I shared that before. It's like I've been weeding stuff out and just 10s for me.
Well, we have to make room for all of our holiday gifts so that way we have room in our closet.
I know, exactly. Well, this is a time of year that we often hear a lot of, there's talk of hope. There is talk of plans for 2021. There is a lot of emotional management that happens around the holidays when people are coming together. And this year in particular is going to look very different for a lot of people just because of everything that's been going on this year. And so I thought if we just kind of maybe shared a couple of tools that help people kind of get through these holidays in an even, steady keel instead of maybe being so frenetic or super emotional.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to bring up, Jane, we have all been to those holiday parties or dinners or seen some of our friends where they just show up with negative energy from the get-go. I know you have some great tools and some winning strategies around that. So would you mind sharing with our audience how we can overcome those grumpy individuals this holiday season?
Well, first of all, we've got to let people kind of just be themselves, right? And when you allow someone to just sort of be that grumpy person, it doesn't mean that you have to take on that energy for them. You don't have to solve any problems for them. You don't have to, let it affect you personally. And I think oftentimes that's what happens is we let other people's energy, change us. And so just, a great tool for me is I kind of laugh a little bit and I anchor in, I don't know their story because I don't know what is making them so negative right now. I don't know what they've got necessarily going on in their life that's putting them in that state. But when I tell myself that, like, oh, I don't know their story, then it eases me. Like, I don't have to own their energy. And then also, we've talked about how you can give hope to people who are in that space by just offering them, maybe a little positive thought or, just maybe a kind little text letting them know that you're there for them. Or I think one of the greatest tools really is like, how can I support you? You don't seem very happy right now. How can I support you? Thoughts? I don't know. That's a tough one sometimes.
Yeah, well, and something else that we previously discussed is the concept of, well, hurt people tend to like to hurt people. So just by focusing in on that, that's really helped me to get through some of those situations, knowing it's not necessarily me, it's something that they're going through, but they're lashing out or reacting to whoever's in front of them because they are feeling hurt.
100%. And the whole key behind hurt people is to really, stop it from number one, going back and forth, which could mean stopping you from reacting to it in a way that affects your energy. Here's something really fascinating too, is our energy radiates like 10 feet, I think. And even though we've been keeping a distance from people for about 6 feet, that energy, radiates. And so if we can focus on our energy, that's all we're really in control of. Making sure that I'm putting out a positive vibe or I'm feeling good about myself in that moment. And that's why we're always anchoring in, being a 10. Like, how do you feel? What are you wearing that makes you look like a 10 for yourself, nobody else, but just you? And really being able to honor that everybody's not going to be in that same space.
Absolutely. Well, let's say you're one of those individuals where you're energized by trying to help other people get through their stuff. So we have friends, we have family members going through stuff right now. So I know we mentioned giving hope, but maybe we could provide some inspiration or some motivation. What are your thoughts around how we can help them if we are one of those individuals that love to help or provide some guidance?
Well, I think when you give hope to other people, number one, it does offer something to them and it chemically changes yourself as well. So you really elevate yourself. But sometimes it comes back to being a good listener. We've talked a lot about listening. And when you listen, again, it doesn't mean you have to agree, it doesn't mean you have to do anything with it. Simply by listening, it already starts to change people's level of negativity because oftentimes they just want to be heard. But then also recognize what affects your energy and give yourself permission to set a boundary around it. So if there are people that are energy vampires for you, there's nothing that says you have to spend a lot of time with them, and you've really got to take care of yourself, especially during this time of year too, when things are pretty hectic, and there's a lot going on and where people are planning for 2021 already, but really just honoring yourself in the same way. And remember, you don't have to solve anybody else's problems. You don't have to fix anybody else. You can just love and honor them for who they are and how they're created.
Well, I think we've given all of our listeners a lot to think about and some helpful tips for trying to keep it cool this holiday season. But as we look to wrap up today's conversation, is there anything else you'd like to leave our audience with as we wrap up 2020?
Well, it takes practice, right? And so being a champion for yourself, first and foremost, and knowing what things, take the energy away from you, but also just doing the best that you can every single day and looking forward to tomorrow with some anticipation and some excitement and no regret for that day.
Awesome. Well, Jane, appreciate you being here with us and for sharing all of your insight and knowledge with us in 2020. Looking forward to kicking off the new year with some other great winning strategies in 2021.
Thanks, Lindsay. Have an awesome holiday.